Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Cheltenham Roar, brought to you by Priced Up Bet and oddschecker. I'm your host George Ellick, and this is a DRF, the Dublin Racing Festival preview of day one. Delighted to be joined as ever by oddschecker's very own Andy Holding. Andy, how are you doing?
I'm good, George. Yeah, looking forward to this weekend. Just glad it's on. Didn't look promising early on in the week, did it, with those pictures coming through on social media? But all the necessary precautions have been taken, and it looks set fair for racing. Although we're still keeping an eye on the weather as well, just in case we get a little bit more rain on what top of they've already had.
Yeah, indeed. And making his debut on the show, it is Aidan O'Hara. Aidan, how are you getting on?
Well, how are you? I'm looking forward to the weekend. I always worry about very soft ground, but the hurdle course will certainly be very soft. There's a couple of races there where there's a few going to be walking home. I think that's very tough, but it's a great week. It's kind of the start of, the big three, as I call it. I love this at Cheltenham Entry, all in about 5-6 weeks. It's top class.
Yeah, absolutely is. Looking forward to it as well. Aidan, as it's your first time on the show, before we get into the previewing, going through the card of Saturday's racing from Leopardstown, just tell us a bit about yourself from long shot value, for those who aren't aware of you and what you get up to and your kind of the way that you go about your tipping.
Yeah, well, I'm and kind of always was a small punter, even though I'm into racing for, I don't know, 30 years or whatever like that. I never had an interest in doubling my tenor. I never care. I never back enough where it would matter if I lost it, which is a good, probably the way everyone should be really. But and that led me early on to just not being interested in anything other than, okay, less frequent, but big hits time. Just be 20-1 and above is my general thing. I mean, I do tend to look first at the place side and try and make a case for something as a better chance than what I think getting into the places, and then look after the win side to see can you get. But that's basically it. I said before on these I kind of work on the negative side in that I try and get into my head why a price is incorrect. So I don't price up races or anything like that. I mean, I let the race come, the bookies put their odds up and see what's overpriced. And I look from the highest price downwards rather than the other way. That's basically it. Now, I mean, in the big races like Dublin Racing Festival, Cheltenham Entry, I'm not as, say, stuck to the massive prices as I might normally, just because I'll know all the horses. I kind of only watch. I'm only really interested in, grade 1, grade 2, sometimes class 3 handicaps, that kind of thing, and up. So I've know the horses when they're running in those kind of races, and the market is strongest as well. That's one of the main points. The market is strongest in the biggest races.
And I hear you had a good time of it this time last year.
This time, I'd say last year was okay. The year before was exceptional. The year before was kind of exceptional. I've had a few. Cheltenham now, in general, has been very good. But I think it's because, first of all, like the markets are exceptional at Cheltenham, strength-wise. There's horses at massive prices in everything. I mean, you still have to get, if your average price is 25-1 and up, there's 28 races. It's conceivable. It's conceivable to go the whole way. It is. Now, it hasn't. Maybe last year was as probably I had a few unlucky fallers, that type of thing, but it doesn't take much. The swings are massive with my type of prices, as you can kind of imagine, But, you got to just, it's worked for, I can't think of the last, how long I'm at this kind of thing. It's worked for a long time. It's possibly got a bit more difficult. It's got a bit more difficult outside of the big races, outside of the festivals. But festivals are still, still good, still the same.
Fingers crossed we can hit some big price value ahead of the weekend. Yeah. We're going to get through it pretty quickly when we get to the racing. But since we last spoke, Andy, we of course had Cheltenham Trials Day. We saw, we're recording this on Thursday afternoon. Saw El Kairos for the first time, or for the second time this season. Put in a performance and win, but not look particularly impressive doing so. Sergino, of course, with that career-threatening injury. And therefore, the market in the champion hurdles changed a lot. What's been the kind of big takeaways for you in the last week?
Yeah, I was at Cheltenham the other day for Trials Day. The only performance on the day which sort of wowed me, and I thought, that could win at the festival, would be Marchand 2. just because of his Cheltenham record in general terms, but then he's obviously beaten a good standard of opponent. And Paz Etoile obviously won the long walk, and he looked the standard bearer, and he beat it fair and square on the day. On ground that arguably might not have been necessarily absolutely ideal for him. He's probably better even on a better surface. So come the second week in March, if it is drying up come the Thursday, he'd have a bigger chance. His time figure was one of the best on the day. But away from Cheltenham, the horse that impressed me the most, and I think it's probably one of the best staying novice races of the season collectively, as a bunch of horses that went into it, was the River Don. I thought the River Don was a hell of a race. They went a good gallop from the start. Some good horses with a lot of untapped potential and big reputations were strung out all over town more. I backed the second Country Code, and I still couldn't believe he didn't win. He cruised into the race, and I thought, oh, we're in here. And then the Devil You Know came and picked him up fairly readily in the end. And I think Paul Nolan's horse is going to be a big player in the Albert Bartlett. We'll get talking about Dr. Steinberg in a minute when we discuss the very first race at the Dublin Racing Festival. Of course, beat Devil You Know at Navan when he last ran, but the time figure was exceptionally good. So if he can run to that same level as he can at Cheltenham, then he's going to be in the mix. So the Devil You Know, along with the second as well, Country Code. I mean, he's 50-1 for the Albert Bartlett. I think those two might just slightly be under the radar in a month's time.
Interesting stuff. Yeah, some pointers there early on. But as you say, the favourite for the Albert Bartlett at the moment, with priced up, is Dr. Steinberg. Before we get into this preview of the DRF card on Saturday at Leopardstown, I will put you in the direction of pricedup.bet. If you haven't got an account, make sure you sign up for one already. Loads of price boosts across various different sports up with Priced Up, and hopefully the guys will boost some of the selections from the guys on the day. So make sure you check the price boost page on Saturday morning. Now let's get into it. The opening race is the 1:15, the novice hurdle over 2 miles and 6 furlongs, and the aforementioned Dr. Steinberg is the 6-5 favourite ahead of Kazansky at 5-1. Santos Sospir is 6-1. Tackle Tommy Woo Woo is 8-1. Love Me Tender 9-1. 16-1. Jalon Duderi is 25-1. Bar 3 others. So 9 runners here with a 6-5 favourite. Andy, lovely each way shape. How do you see it?
Yeah, lovely each way shape it is too as well. Yeah. Obviously, thoroughly respect Dr. Steinberg. He was really impressive when he won at Navan, but the thing to say about that Navan race, I actually don't think it suited the Devil You Know. It was a very slowly run race. Townend dictated matters to suit his own horse. The Devil You Know was like 7 or 8 lengths stuck out last, turning for home, and he's closed into a quickening pace off the front, and the winner's grinded it out to the line. But it didn't really tell us a great deal about the winner, other than he handles the ground and potentially it could be very good. But unlike the Devil You Know has gone on to prove himself in a strongly run race, we still don't know about Dr. Steinberg. He's won 2 or 3 crawls where he's just been the best horse in the race. So if they do go good gallop here, and I'm hoping that they do, this will give us a better understanding of how good Dr. Steinberg is if he handles a well-run 2 mile 6. And then you can say unequivocally, oh, he's definitely an Albert Bartlett horse. At the moment in time, I'd sooner be with the Devil You Know, because he's gone and proven it on a better ground in a better race against good horses. So Dr. Steinberg's got to go and do it. But at 6-5, I could walk away from that any day of the week and accept if he wins, he wins. If you're asking me for a bet, I think Love Your Tender's probably worth a little small interest. Things just didn't quite pan out for him in the Grade 1 here behind Skylight Hustle. He made all the running the time before at Tipperary, but he got in behind horses after trying to make the run in at Leopardstown. He then got settled in midfield. He made 1 or 2 uncharacteristic blunders, which didn't really seem to be in his game at Tipperary, where he jumped fantastically from the front. But if he was to get an uncontested lead and get into a nice rhythm out in front, because I think this more lackadaisical speed over 2.6 will suit him, I think he could be quite dangerous here. Or he's certainly underestimated. And I like the way he was hitting the line at Leopardstown, having got outpaced by Skylight Hustle. But that was a really good Grade 1. I mean, that was one of the best collective bunch of horses that ran in and around the Christmas period. It was a very, very good race. And obviously the favourite for the Supreme fell at the last. So, one of the favourites did. So I think Love Me Tender sets a pretty good standard here for having run in a Grade 1. And he's a double figure price. So I'll probably go with him each way.
9-1. I was muted there. So just shy of a double figure price there, Andy, for Love Me Tender. Aidan, how do you see this? I'm guessing you're not going to be putting up the 6-5 fav.
No, and as I went through this, the first horse, go and say in order of price, the first horse that had any interest at all in is Love Me Tender. I think this market is probably going to change. That was obviously, as Andy said, that was a very good race. The only thing I went through everything, right? And I mean, all I saw was a bunch of mile and a half, 2 mile, say 2.5 mile novice races where they're walking at the start. I mean, it kind of means nothing in terms of grade ones, I don't think. Love Me Tender's race was a much better race but some of the first Dr. Steinberg, Kazansky and Santo Repair or Suspare, God, those were slow races on heavy ground. Now, I know this is going to be slow as well, but I don't think they're going to be walking at the finish at the start like they did in some of those races. I think I'd be ruling out any of them as value. What I've actually ended up on, originally, before I looked today, I was getting interested in Jalan Dudari just because, okay, he's finished second to 2 decent horses this year already, but to me, he probably wants softer ground, and I think he's improving. And his form behind Sartudo, okay, he's beaten well. And Frankie John, who's reasonable as well, is also in this race, but I'd be pretty confident to turn the form around with him. So I was interested in him. I just think that's a Cheltenham bumper form. He's been off a while. He had a few problems. But if you were to pick 2 first reasonable runs for a stay in novice, those are pretty decent in probably better races than some of the other ones. But what I really got kind of happy with price-wise was this Yeshil. So as I'm going through towards the top of the market, that Kaczynski, Yeshil was third in that race, but God, they were doing their walking at the first mile thing, and he was being pulled the whole way, and he just didn't like it, I don't think. He got kind of balked at the second last and looked to put his head down after that. I mean, so he got kind of outspeeded in the finish a little bit and got 2 or 3 lengths behind. It was the same about at the end. But I just have a feeling there's under no circumstances would I have him 10 times the price of Kaczynski. There's just no way. I would put his chance of being placed better than Kaczynski's chance of winning. And I went into it a bit further. As I said, I look at the videos when I'm picking that. I don't watch a lot of racing other than big races, so I would miss some of these novice hurdles. I prefer to look at when I see the market. But that second, his debut was in the that Goff's Defender bumper. It's probably the best bumper in the country, in Ireland. And if you have a look at that, I mean, the form for a start, it's Active Innocence, King Rascal Grey. He's in second. His fastest finisher of all. He just looks like a stair. For a first run, really looked like a stair to me. Now, that was on decent ground. He has 2 runs. His 2 hurdle runs are on. He won a Punchestown race, maiden hurdle on heavy ground, and his last run's a grade 2 on heavy ground. But I don't see a lot of difference in the form between him and the likes of those top 3 in the market. So at 50-1 each way, I'd be well interested in him, I think. A slight worry about, is he going for a handicap? But with this kind of he has, he's only 2 runs. I kind of doubt it, So he's actually has 3 runs, slightly dangerous. But just from what I've seen, just looking purely, I kind of ruled out a lot of them, other than, as I said, Love Me Tender a bit. Just on pure price, looking at Kaczynski and Yeshil, I'm kind of guessing that Kaczynski will go out a bit. It's just that Jack Kennedy's on him, I'd say. And I don't think there's any chance that Yeshil will still be that 50-1 with everyone. He just looks like a stair.
Love it.
So that's what I'm going for him.
What a way to introduce yourself with a 50-1 shot in the first.
Well, it's only any good if it does anything. But still, I just like it immediately. It was a more obvious one to me than sometimes you would get, after watching the various races.
Absolutely. Yeah. For Yeshil, 50-1 the price up there. What price will Yeshil go off if Aidan's right? Much shorter than the 50s around now. On to the 150 now. The Juvenile hurdle over 2 miles, where the Triumph favourite Narciso has is the 8-11 fav ahead of Mange 2 at 3-1. Selma de Very is 9-1, 14-1. Bertutea, 18 to 1 immediate effect, 25 to 1 Barbizon, and 25 to 1 North Shore. Aidan, I'll give you first run here.
Yeah, this not having the 8 runners
I know.
is not great for
7.
my type of thing. But I kind of thought the market was near enough correct in that it does look to me like Narciso is probably going to turn the tables. That was a very good run the last time. When I went looking at I'd always be tempted with a Willie Mullins second string, something like that. I'd be tempted with the French horse, but I had to look at that farm and that whole race that he won by 7 or 8 lengths. I wouldn't be that convinced of it, especially for his first run in Ireland in a Grade 1. The horse that did interest me, and I don't know whether it's for down the line a bit, but I liked this. When I watched the races, I was kind of taken by Barbizon, who was probably first after. I'd kind of often watch a horse that goes first after an easy winner, often gets in trouble, So he did that against Narciso Has. He's certainly the second best horse in that race. I'd probably be interested in him. I might have a look at what exotics would play with him in play, maybe. I think he's priced up. He's the second biggest price. He's 6th in the bet, and I think possibly he's the 3rd best horse maybe in this race. So if there's 8 runners, I'd be very interested in it. But I'd have a look at him without the favourite or without the first 2, and I'd be quite happy relatively short without the first 2. I think he's possibly unless this Selma de Vere, this French import, is going very well at home or something like that, but you can't really tell. His farm in France, you can't take anything from it. He beat nothing essentially. I'm more interested in Barbizon than his price anyway.
Yeah, Barbizon went off 2 to 1 against Narciso Has last time, obviously well beaten, but to go off that price alone suggests some level of yard confidence. Andy, how do you see this?
Yeah, I'll be similar to Aidan with Narciso Has. I'll be surprised if he doesn't win this. I'll put a little bit of date on to the bones of his victory here 36 days ago. It was the day when Murat won the second race. It was a race that was most notable for Keros falling at the last, and Ballyfad won the first. There was 2 main hurdles, and there was 3 races, including the one that Narciso Has won. It was the 3rd race that were run over 2 miles, and the most significantly well-run race of the 3, time-wise, was Narciso Has. For a juvenile to run roughly around about 20, 25 lengths quicker than those older horses, I thought it was a good effort. I'm certainly taking into account they didn't go overly mad in the other 2 novice hurdles, granted, at the same time. But I still thought there was a good deal of substance to that victory. The fact that he pulled 12 lengths clear of the rest, it wasn't a great field, but he was lengthening all the way to the line. He hit the line really hard. He looks a strong stayer at the trip. He's gonna love the heavy ground more than the most, I would have thought. He's a little bit more sturdier, thick set built than Mars 2. Mars 2 is a really nice filly, but she's a more with a degree of elegance about her. So I think Narciso Has will turn the tables around. There's a good word going around for Selma de Vere. They reckon she's quite smart, and they had a nice juvenile winner today, Rich Ritchie. So she's definitely worth bearing in mind to see how she gets on. Just a little bit disconcerted to see Hood on for the first time. I don't like that, really. That suggests she's a bit of a wild one, bit of a hard puller. My main focal point here is seeing how Narciso Has gets on with a view to the Triumph Hurdle, because I really rate the other horse of JP's, Protective, who won at Punchestown the other week, who's currently 7 to 1. Proactive, that's the one. It was currently
6 to 1, we're priced up.
6 to 1 second favourite.
Yeah.
Now, when firms do the non-runner no bet thing, I will definitely be having a little bit of a look at the market for Proactive in the Supreme market as well. If I get 20, 25 to 1 non-runner no bet in that, and maybe 6 to 1 non-runner no bet in the Triumph. If Narciso Has bolts up here, I think it'd be very short price favourite for the Triumph. I can't believe JP will want to run 2 horses at the top of the market in the Triumph. Remember a few years ago he did it when Sir Eric went odds-on favourite to win the Triumph, the ill-fated Sir Eric. And he had Fakir Duderis as well, who'd won the Triumph for Trials Day at Cheltenham. He ran Fakir Duderis in the Supreme. Fortunately finished 4th behind Pentland Hills, but it's the kind of thing that he's done before. So, yeah, I think it's a bit of a related bet, but I think Proactive might be worth looking at both of those two markers. I've got a feeling there might be a bit of a switcheroo if Narcisco House does what I think he will over the weekend.
Interesting, yeah. So yeah, 3-1, 11-4. I think currently Triumph favourite. I know 3-1. Narciso has Proactive 6-1 there in the Triumph. We're gonna have to get through these races quickly to get through them all. So we're going to move on now to the 225, the handicap hurdle over 3 miles. Of course, if there's nothing to put up, guys, just absolutely say so. No need to tip everything in every race. But County Final is the 92 favourite with priced up here ahead of Champagne Kid at 13-2 alongside Dipped in Moonlight. 15-2 about Son of Anarchy with Duke Silver slightly shorter at 7-1, 11-1 bar those. Priced up going 6 places here. Market leader, a 5th to 6, Andy. I know that's going to be music to your ears. What's your selection?
Yeah, I don't mind County Final. We get a chance to look at his form with Kaczynski in the first. As Aidan said, it was a bit of a slow run race, that one at Limerick. So we didn't get a chance to see whether County Final's an absolute out-and-out proper stayer. He looks one, and he looks quite well handicapped of 128. But I think Gigginstown have got a strong hand here. They've got Wendrock trained by Gordon Elliott. It was a massive eye catcher here. I think it was the one of those really. I think Champagne Kid won it, funny enough. But Wendrock got given a poor ride that day. He was miles behind and hit the line very strong. I think he's crying out for 3 miles. He's a 14-1 shot on with Josh Williamson on board. I think that's a good booking. And also I like Staffordshire Knot as well, who was second to home by the lead the other day. And it was quite a strongly run race, Galmoy Hurdle. Looking at the figures that we've got compared to the handicap hurdles on the same card. They went a good gallop in that ground, and they got strung out. The fact that Jerry Colon was 20 lengths back in third, and Rocky's Diamond was tailed off, suggested that they went a proper pace. And he still runs off 147. He actually runs off 142 with Carl Miller taking 5 off. So he's got a touch of class, Staffordshire Knot, and he's 20-odd to 1.
18-1 with 6 places.
Okay, I'd probably back those two against the field, Staffordshire Knot and Wendrock.
Yes, 18-1 Staffordshire Knot, Wendrock, 11-1 with priced up. Aidan, anything for you here?
Yeah, I would kind of agree with Staffordshire Knot. The way I'd probably play him is I'll just go, if we talk terms of points, a half a point win, just because he's by some distance the classiest horse in the race. And sometimes weight doesn't matter. Sometimes, slow horses just can't go quick enough. They can't keep the pace up. So I do like a top weight like that. That Karen Miller as well. Karen Miller's an excellent jockey. He's well worth his £5. But I looked at Gordon keeping him in it, for a start anyway. And he has some bunch of sort of younger horses that have had a few problems that after a couple of runs that look interesting to me, now off a proper nice looking weight. And the two I'm interested in, they're both massive prices. There's Manila Sixo, who a couple of years ago was a very good horse, right? Very promising novice. Yeah, very promising horse, right? Chasing didn't work, didn't go down well. He went off 20-1 in the Martin Pipe. Now, that was a fast race. I'm not, those kind of races are a lot different than this, right? This is a completely different ballgame. He'd run in Cork and Limerick and ran well. Like, say in Limerick over 24 furlongs of soft ground, he was third behind the big Westerner, Mozzie's sister, and Fleur in the Park. That's good form now. That's proper good form, the big Westerner won that relatively easy. He did have a few problems after that, right? And he wasn't great on his chase debut in Galway on good ground. Not sure that would have suited him as well, but it was a very good race. So he's had a break. He's had a hurdle run on yielding ground. He's sort of nowhere in it, but I think this is more his race, and it's the kind of thing I'm looking for out of left field at a massive price. The horse, he does have the back form to get competitive of 130 in this. And so I like him. And additionally for Gordon Elliott, there's a horse, Yates Star, who's a massive price. He was the outsider of the field. He similarly hasn't been as good. Now, he's run a lot this year. He had a couple of reasonable runs over fences, but, he hasn't been great. But he was third in this. In a race I remember well, because I think Maxim may have been my only winner of that particular Dublin Racing Festival, but it paid for everything else because it was like 40-1. But he's not very. He's closing fast there off a pound, off the same weight. I just think I'm always trying to find a reason. I mean, you would think this race suits him. So off his mark, those two horses are relatively young, have soft ground, 3 mile form. You're going on the ifs they get back to form. But I'm kind of thinking that one of the two of them might. And if either of the two of them get back to form, they're going to be in the first, 6, 7, 8 here off the mark they're on. So that gives them enough chance for me to be in the places and get involved. Because it's not that good a race outside of Staffordshire, not. And if he can't carry the weight, you're open to something like that. Those are the two I've went for there anyway.
Great stuff. Yeah, Manila 6-0 is 33 to 1 priced up, paying the 6 places, and the 8-star 40 to 1. So a couple of big price selections there for Aidan to take on the field. Right, the Irish Arkle has cut up like nothing else, making it not the best betting heat. Romeo Coolio is 2-1, priced up. Cargese is 7-4. With Down Mexico away, the 20 to 1 outsider of 3. A quick look at the Cheltenham Arkle market, and we see that Lalamba is the 6-4 favourite. Romeo Coolio 3 to 1, and Kopek de Board has drifted out to 7-2 off the back of not being declared here with Cargese 6 to 1. Tricky to preview this from a betting perspective, Andy. Anything for you in either race?
Yeah, I mean, it's a disaster really. Kopek's not running here, because my way of thinking with Romeo Coolio is this is definitely going to be his ultimate massive target, whereas Kopek might necessarily not have this as his A1 sort of remit. I thought, because Romeo Cooley hasn't necessarily got an obvious race for the Cheltenham Festival, they'll be going all guns blazing here. They're saying, "Oh, we're not going to run in the Arkle. If we're going to run it, we might go to Aintree. We might not go to Cheltenham. We're not going to run him in the Ryanair. There isn't a 2.5 mile noise. Blah blah blah." So, on home soil, big race, Irish Arkle, Grade 1. Let's try and get one in the bag, kind of thing, and worry about everything else further down the field. But now when Kopek doesn't run, it's kind of put a spanner in the works of the way I'm thinking here. And it's going to be tactical. I mean, Cargase is going to go off in front. And she's no mug. I mean, she won very easily here last time out, clocked a good time, a time comparable to Solness in the Grade 1 older horse race. So at the prices, I'd just come back in Romeo Coolio. That I'll just let him win. And if you ask me for a bet, then it'd be Cargese, because I think they're a little bit more closely matched than the market suggests. But it's probably a viewing race rather than a punting race. I'm sure Aidan will be of a similar way of thinking.
Aidan?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the only thing is, if anyone probably is interested in Romeo Coolio, there will be a few. I'm pretty sure the money might come for Cargese, and you won't be getting 1 to 2. You'd get better than 1 to 2 on Romeo Coolio. I mean, it's an awful pity. As I was looking at this race before the declarations, I had decided that, and it kind of interests me for the Cheltenham Festival, I quite like Cala Conti in whatever race it runs in the Cheltenham Festival. Now, God knows what. But I
33 to 1 at the moment for the
Arkle. Is it going to go in the Arkle? I kind of have my doubts. I wonder what it's going to go in. But on looking at that horse beating Cargese, I know it was its first run and that kind of thing. But I thought that horse definitely underrated, and is still underrated. It's the kind of thing you're going to have to wait for non-runner or bet, I think, because I don't know what she's going to go for. But just because I had been looking, with this race in mind, I was kind of disappointed, only because I maybe was going to take one of those one versus the other thing, And I think Cala Conti might be a very similar standard to Cargase. It might be very same, I think. So kind of interesting to see what happens, but that's all down the line. As far as this goes, because if I'm saying I think Cala Conti is similar to Cargese, I think Romeo Coolio should be winning this, but I'll watch it.
On then to the Irish Gold Cup, where Price are paying 4 places, and Galopin de Champs is a 6-4 favourite ahead of Gaelic Warrior at 11-2. Factor File 6-1, Affordable Fury, and I know the way you're thinking, both 8-1. Just had a Spindlebury at 15-2, 14-1 Iron Maximus. We've heard Andy's views on these horses quite a few times over the last couple of years. Aidan, so I could come to you first. Who do you fancy in the Gold Cup?
Would you believe I struggled to pick a bit of value here, and I'll explain why. I kind of think Galopin doesn't really have to be at his best even to win this. the way I was looking at it is I kind of thought Affordale, when I looked earlier on, he's still kind of generally 8-1. I thought maybe he'd be a bit closer to Gallop, and it's not. I mean, he'll also like the soft ground because on the chase course you're going to get. I know it was raining again today, but in theory, usually it's going to end up being actually quite normal National Hunt ground. So I don't mind Affordale Fury. I'd struggle each way at 8-1. Those are the bets. I don't take those bets at all. 8-1 each way. This is a big race for my year, though. Not so much for my year, but one of the main thoughts I have this year is that Stellar Story is a Grand National horse. And if you ask me for one thought this whole year, that's it. And so far this year, it's all gone perfectly to plan in that he ran in the Betfair. He stayed on. I mean, he's jumping as better than it was last year. Similar case last time around himself, and Lecky Watson went down the inside. And considering the ground and all, Stellar Story ran well the last time as well. So I'm kind of all over him for the Grand National. And there's another one. I think Monty Star is very similar. If I thought Monty Star was actually trying here, I'd be very interested in. I see a few 4 places. I'd be very interested in him in the whatever 50-1 or 40-1 4 places. But I'm kind of convinced he's going for the National. Because if you look at the Savills Chase, he sort of was let drift back a bit, but if you watch the finish, he's finishing as well as anything. So those two, I'm going to be, like I often am in these races, I may not see who's winning it because I'm going to be looking back going, how are these two performing here? You know, we'll see. I mean, as far as like Spindleberry is very interesting as well. But which I'll back on the day, because Lecky Watson is not as sure, I think, that he's a national horse, and he probably is as well. I might get interested in backing him each way. But the real thing is see how Stellar Story goes. Those are I would have the two of them. Stellar Story and Monty Star in the top 5 most likely horses to win the National this year. And they're both big prices. You know, and they're ideal for it, especially Stellar Story. So we'll see how it goes.
Again, might be the road to Cheltenham, but we've got a couple of Grand National selections here. Yeah, Stellar Story is 50-1 for the National with priced up, and Monty Star 25-1. And we've got about 5 minutes left on the clock. Who do you like in the Irish Gold Cup? And then we'll do any other business for the last 2 races.
Yeah, I think Spindleberry will go well. I think she's the only one here that we just don't know enough about. But at the same time, she could really improve on what she's already done. And what she's already done is good. You know, she's won a Grade 1. She could improve quite easily for a step up in trip. We just know all about the other horses, don't we? Whereas she's the unknown factor. And I think if you're going to have a punt 8-1, you might as well have a round of drinks on her. I'm not sure about Gaelic Warrior around the track. Factor 4, I'm not sure about whether he'll stay or not. He's a bit of an odd one, and I'm not sure why they're coming here with him. And obviously Galopin Shop sets a standard, and he's the right price. You know, we're not going to get any prizes for originality. Selected him as the most likely winner. I just think there's a lot of these running for another day. Whereas I think Spindleberry will be. There's no ulterior motive with her. I just think she'll be out to win it, and she is a serial winner. So who's to say she can't keep that winning run going? And I think 8-1's big enough.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, we've got a couple of races to finish, which we can't do in full. We've got the listed race over 2 miles and a furlong, the handicap chase, and then the final race on the card is the bumper. Andy, anything for you in these two?
Not overly, no. I thought there was one at a massive price. I love this one. I thought Mossy Way was a big price in the bumper. He comes out the best bumper on the clock that we've got behind Keep Your Company.
25-1.
Yeah, he chased a ridiculously hot pace that day. But at least he's got a big speed figure next to his name, and he's the outside of the lot. So I thought he was overpriced.
Lovely stuff. Aidan, anything for you in the last 2?
Well, now I don't look at bumpers, so I'm not even going to look at it. I'll be there, so I'll be betting at every race. And I'm just going to back Mossy Way. Thanks very much.
There you go.
There you go. I could be gone. I often go home with the bumper. I do let me
tell you, Aidan, if Andy gives you a bumper horse, you stick around and you watch the bumper.
Okay, yeah, we'll watch it, right? We'll back that. The one I do like one in the 2 mile chase. Now, the 2 mile chases in Ireland are not, they're not great, let's be honest, right? But the other good one in the year, which is the Dan Moore Memorial. Moore Coco was second in that, but I still don't know how he didn't completely cave. He pulled the entire first mile and 6 furlongs, he pulled the hands off the rider, and still finished really strongly. And he got run down by Western Diego, but the ground, of course, the thing. But again, it's a chase course; it should be okay. I'd be totally convinced he would beat Western Diego with the weight, and hopefully he'll settle a bit better. I would fancy him at 7-1, and I don't often, that kind of price. I wouldn't be going each way. I'd go win. He'd probably go off in front. No, I do fancy that. It's not that great a race. I mean, unless like the one in it that's kind of you have to watch is In the Pocket, probably. But again, maybe we're talking Cheltenham with him, I'd say. I do like Moorcoco considerably. I think it probably should be a favourite after that last run.
Oof.
And he's a low-weight claimer on.
It's 13-2, albeit with 4 places we're priced up at the moment. But as Aidan said, maybe worth backing win only. 13-2 as it stands. We'll be back again tomorrow with episode 2 of this DRF preview, looking at Sunday's racing. So if you enjoyed this, make sure you check it out. Thank you very much to Aidan and to Andy for sharing their thoughts and tips and insight. They'll be back again tomorrow. Make sure you sign up for a priced up bet account if you haven't got one already. Loads of price boosts across different sports, all markets priced up. And as I mentioned, brilliant place terms ahead of this weekend, really sticking their neck out and offering the best place terms in the market, as you can see on the oddschecker grids. So we'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully plenty in there. I'd wish you luck, but I'll speak to you again before the racing starts at Leopardstown. So make sure you tune in for the second episode.